Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, on our Brandon Sanderson discussing podcast, we will be discussing some Brandon Sanderson. We read chapters 53, 54, and 55 of Words of Radiance, book 2 of the Stormlight Archive. In these chapters, Adolin has a duel, and it goes pretty well, and then he sets up a challenge for another duel. So the plan is working. After that, Shallan has another encounter with the Ghost Bloods, which also goes fairly well. And then, in a very Shallan-Adolin heavy section here, Shallan and Adolin have a date, which I guess also goes well. I mean, it's all from Kaladin's perspective, and he's grumpy the whole time, but what can you do? I'm Data, and with me today is...
Joe and Dak.
No, Jaymee. She has things to be about, so it's just the guys again today. But we will do what we can for you. Hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin. So yeah, 3 more chapters this time, y'all. What did you think of these 3 chapters?
I quite like these chapters. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. We get Wit back, which is always a pleasure. And so I do think it was interesting that in the book, Shallan recognizes Wit and it's like, it's you. And everybody else is just kind of like, oh, that's really awkward. And so that was really fun little bit. Now, I got a lot of problems with the dual proposition, which we can get into now, or I can wait till predicaments. But I don't think Adolin thought through how he worded that very well.
Oh,
and so I don't foresee the duel going the way that he plans that it's going to go. So let's
get into that bit when we get to that part of the chapter.
Sure.
And then
we'll talk
that'll be
about
a good time for it. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed this. I don't know. I was under the impression that we were getting to the end of the part this time. So the fact that we didn't, I'm just like, man, more. I was like, what's gonna happen next? So I'm interested to get on with the rest of the part. I want to know. Excited.
Yeah. We're right there. One more. The next section is the end of the part. And so, although I could have totally seen the end of this section being the end of a part where. With the refounding of the Knights Radiant and whatnot.
Yeah, that was shocking. That's for sure. I kind of wasn't even thinking about that when going over it, just because I was kind of like, whoa, that's crazy. But you're right. Like that is a big thing that happened right at the end there, which again, like, begs the question, what is Dalinar thinking? Does he has he completely forgotten what Kaladin said? Is this a long con play? Like, where is this coming from, leading to? So definitely a little concerned about that.
Yeah, I mean, given what we know of Amaram, it's definitely like, what? Like, are you high, Dalinar? Or but yeah, we don't know what he's found in his investigation, so maybe he still trusts Amaram.
I mean, maybe he just forgot about the investigation. I don't know. This doesn't seem quite right.
He does have a lot of stuff on his mind, to be fair.
Sure, but I mean, the captain of your guard's like, yeah, he's a bad dude, and you're just like, do whatever.
I honestly forget. Did he say there was an investigation, or was it just like, did Dalinar say to Kaladin, you have to bring me proof?
No, I think he said he was going to look into it.
No, he said he'd look into it. Yeah, okay. I think those were the words. He said he was going to look into it.
Okay, no worries.
He just turns to Kaladin when Kaladin questions. He's like, I looked into it. It's fine. Everything's cool.
I looked. It was good.
that was forever ago.
Yeah.
I talked to him. I asked him if he did it. He said no. And now we're good. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah. That's the end of it. You got to figure. Well, I don't know. I was going to say you got to figure that Kaladin's going to say something to him, like, what's up with this? But maybe not. Kaladin does tend to keep stuff to himself.
Mm-hmm. He sure does. He's probably like, definitely not telling Dalinar about that assassination plot now. Forget
it. Screw that guy.
You know what, Moash? Have the bastard.
Which is not even Elhokar's fault. This happened.
Yeah. Probably an extreme reaction there, Kaladin, but okay. No. Yeah, no, like fun chapters, interesting chapters, a lot of stuff to work with. Man, the ghost bloods on this planet just don't fuck around.
True.
Since we're on the topic, yeah, like the whole, yep, we're refounding the Knights Radiant, and Amaran will be the first of them. I'm just like, honestly, I groaned out loud. I'm like, for fuck's sake, how much more can we have in this will Kaladin trust Dalinar or not subplot before they finally work their shit out? I'm like, oh god, not another spanner in that works. Come on. Ugh, very. It almost seemed a bit telenovela, sort of. It's like like all of a sudden a new drama arose between the two characters where they couldn't trust each other. I'm like, for fuck's sake.
Kaladin's evil twin showed up and got promoted.
No, not Daladin.
I was going to say Caladont, or mate, no, that doesn't really work.
Oh, nice. Yeah, okay, I like that actually.
Not Caladon.
Caladin.
He's the worst.
But yeah, like as for the rest of it, as Joe said, wit is always a very welcome addition, especially like when they get out of the characters. It's like, oh, he's gone. He paid me to take over. Fucking what? Kaladin just inserting himself into Adolin and Shallan's conversation was also quite hilarious. And then they're just like, do we let this guy in on it? Because neither of them think very much of him, but they're just like, all right, fine, we'll use you as a sounding board. But yeah, Jill was cool. Curious to see where that goes. But yeah, it's like going back to what I first said. Fucking Ghost Bloods. They are just. I guess part of me is just like maybe this lends credence to the theory that these aren't Kelsier's people. But then I'm just like, no, Kelsier was also a pretty ruthless person himself. So maybe they could still be his people. I know there's like two organizations. Like one's like the 17th Shard and all, but I still don't know how that falls out, because the Ghost Bloods on Scadrial are very much Kelsier's people. We know that. So it's like, well, are these still Kelsier's people? Maybe the 17th Shard was a splinter group, or maybe the Ghost Bloods are the splinter. I don't know. But I still feel like Kelsier's probably in charge of these guys. And it's like, because Kelsier was just as nasty to Highborn, and that's what the Bright Eyes are on this planet. They are the Highborn. So Kelsier might still be just like, yeah, fuck these people.
Yeah, it could. Or maybe they work for Kelsier and he's not a micromanager. He just sends them out and like, you do your thing, and they're just a little more cutthroat about killing servants and things than he might have been.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, I think I think Shallan might also have given a bit too much away when she's like, oh yeah, no, I've just got a really good memory, and she's like, shit, I shouldn't have said that, and Mraize is just like, interesting, but we want to hope that they think Vale is dead, so they're not going to come for Shallan. But who knows at this point? Like we don't know enough about the Ghost Bloods or what they know. Like, have they just been laughing through their teeth the whole time at her?
Possible, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like these Ghost Bloods are scary.
Yeah. I mean, you said it pretty succinctly. They clearly do not fuck around.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little worrisome who Shallan is getting involved with here.
Well, I mean, her involvement might have just ceased.
Yeah, I think that she's okay at the moment.
Well, yeah, but like they tried to kill her, like, and they might think she's dead. So it's like, all right, well, she's probably not going to go back for another meeting.
That's agree. A good point. Yeah, if they think she's dead, she might just like be like, yeah, let's go with that.
I kind of agree with her assessment, is that they thought, or that it wasn't Mraize specifically, but the other people that were like, oh, we got to get rid of this woman.
True, but like if those people then report back up the chain or whatever, or like if rumors spread in the Ghost Bloods camp and Mraize hears of it, and what's going to happen when she shows up alive? It's like,
yeah.
Well, I guess she could.
If my theory holds true, then Mraize already knows that she has. Well, I guess he doesn't know Shallan is Vale. So I'd say, if Mraize and Wit are the same person, it's very possible that he knows that Shallan's alive. If he knows what Shallan can do, he may already know that Shallan is that lady. But I don't know.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, and I kind of forgot until you mentioned it. Like, we see her recognize Wit, but she does not recognize Mraize. So does that like make do anything against your theory, or are you just like, nah, it could still be?
It could still be, just because there was such a familiarity. I don't know. There were too many things coinciding around the same time that Mraize is introduced. She says he looks familiar, and then the next chapter is like a flashback to where she meets Hoyd. And then after that, we have him show up. She recognizes him today because he literally looks exactly the way he looked to her when she met him the first time, right? So like to that, even if Mraize looked familiar to her, if he looked exactly the same, then she would be like, oh, that's that guy. Like, that's different. That's a different story.
I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That makes sense.
But yeah, I'd be interested to know that same thing. Like, she didn't recognize him before. If they are the same person, does Hoyd know that she and Vale are the same woman?
Mm-hmm.
And he's just acting as if he doesn't? And also, is like, my thought is he testing her by letting the other Ghost Bloods try and kill her to see, how deft she is? Because I guess, like, what would he stand to gain from that?
Yeah.
Because he didn't seem too keen on, like, maybe he was just confused about the hug, but he didn't seem too keen on the hug. So I don't know. Although it was so funny because he made like an obvious joke to us as readers, knowing that he's not like, a normal person, that he must be like way older than she is. And then also he says that, which, I mean, I know we're going to get into the chapters here in a second, but he says like there's somebody as old as him or around the same age on the planet, like, but only one other person. And I'm like, wait, who's that? So, lots of stuff, still a mystery, always another secret.
There is so much, yeah, that it's still mysterious. But we're only 60% of the way through book 2, so out of the first arc of 5. So there should be lots of secrets probably still. If everything was already explained, that would be really boring.
Well, yeah, but I meant in the Cosmere as a whole. But I guess you're right. Like, yeah, we're only
that's true too.
Book 2 of this series.
The Ghost Bloods, what's up with them? Mystery. Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's get into the chapters. The first chapter is Perfection. Pop goes perfection. The epigraph is about the Else Callers. As to the other orders that were inferior in this visiting of the far realm of Spren, the Else Callers were prodigiously benevolent, allowing others as auxiliaries to their visits and interactions, though they did never relinquish their place as prime liaisons with the great ones of the Spren. And the Lightweavers and Willshapers both also had an affinity to the same, though neither were true masters of that realm. So
Else Callers have some, like, really good way of communicating with Big Spren, but why and how? Who knows?
Well, and of going to and visiting the far realm of the Spren, which presumably is the cognitive realm.
Yeah, the cognitive realm.
Shadesmar, exactly.
Yeah.
So the Else Callers are the experts at traveling there, which I guess kind of the name kind of makes sense with that. They're going somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, all this cognitive realm thing, and now that they're Spren in it just makes me think of the realm of the Fae and the Sea in old Dresden Files.
Yep, I see that.
The never.
But we know it mentions here that Lightweavers and Willshapers both also can travel or whatever, or have an affinity for this place. And we've seen Shallan as Lightweaver touch into Shadesmar before, right? So she even gets called out by Yasna that one time. He's like, idiot, you're just coming here with like one little sphere. What are you, dumb? Kind of makes sense with some of the stuff we've seen. We jump into Adolin's duel with Ellet in the middle of the duel. And Adolin is, I guess the chapter title is supposed to be about how he's fighting here. He's pissed off about what happened with the Parshendi, but he's out here fighting, like, it says, with precision, making sure everything is exactly perfect, except that he's avoiding, like, getting into the big exchanges, like the exciting part of dueling. He's just showing them, like, perfect stance, perfect defense, and the crowd is not loving it.
It's very much so, like, he can't do anything to please this crowd. They just hate him on principle.
It's true, yeah, whatever he does. And Ellet is also not a huge fan. You got his High Prince Ruthar is like, hey, he's trying to wear you down. Don't let him. But Adolin, with like small hits all throughout the fight while protecting himself perfectly, he's like cracked lots of pieces of Ellet's armor. And as we get through the end of the fight, like people are booing him in the stands, and like Adolin refuses to get into like a serious engagement, and Ellet is just like, come on, fight me. And Adolin's like, oh, I have, and I've won, because he's cracked the plate enough and drawn out the battle enough that all of the Stormlight, that the spheres that power the armor had the Stormlight has leaked out, and Ellet's armor just locks up, so he can't move and he's disabled. And so Adolin wins another duel.
Yep. And quite masterfully too. I mean, I know we're that's what we're talking about, but yeah, like that takes so much skill in general to like slowly crack each piece and then be like, okay, now you're out of Stormlight.
Yeah,
like
right.
There's I think of all of the things he's done so far in the dueling arena that we've seen on page, this is like the most impressive thing.
And I mean, the stamina it takes too to continue being perfect for like an hour out here in the middle of this fight. Like, yeah, it's really impressive.
Yeah, because I mean, if you read like battles with swords, if you read like histories and stuff, like really those battles take place in the matter of large scale battles take place over the course of maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and that's like with all of these like tons of people fighting. A duel between two people normally over in 10 to 15 minutes, like if not much faster. So that's a pretty big difference.
Yep, agreed. And he walks back to the changing room or whatever, and Renard's like, oh my gosh, the first duel you did, you were done in under a minute and they hated you. Today you were at it for the better part of an hour and they hate you even more. And Aelin's like, yeah, what can you do? Aunt Navani comes in and she's like, weren't you supposed to like win with great fanfare? And he's like, the people will remember this. Fanfare is about making everyone pay attention. This is going to work. And at the same time, he's trying to convince Navani, like, he promised Shallan he would talk to her. And in the middle of them congratulating him on his duel, he's like, Aunt, come on. Have you thought about like talking to Shallan? It sounds really important. Like, he's fulfilling his promise. I am impressed with that, actually.
Yeah, you could say a lot about Adolin, but he is a man of his word.
Yep.
Like he's not a bad dude. He has integrity. He's just also a bit of a dope.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really like Adolin. Like, this book especially has like elevated my opinion of him. Like, he's a flawed character, as they all are, but he's an interesting one, and he's not a bad guy. He's just a bit naive and fucking clueless when it comes to women, but
this book has definitely opened up his character for us a little bit, like given us look at him in other situations and other like ways of thinking.
Yeah, 100%.
Shallan comes in to congratulate him on how awesome he was, and Navani's like, I hear good things about you from my nephew. I'll go. And she takes off. Shallan's but and Adolin's like, look,
compliment accomplished.
Yeah, exactly. Mission done. Bye now. Adolin's like, look, I've been trying to talk to her about it. She needs a few more days. I'm sorry. You remind her of what happened. And she says, you were wonderful. And he's like, oh, the rest of the crowd didn't think so. And so, they came to see you get stomped. You were very inconsiderate not giving them that. He's like, yeah, I'm stingy like that. And he wants to take her to dinner tonight, but she's busy tonight, which we know she is busy. We see what she's busy with. Although I honestly just feel like she's not even doing it intentionally, but I think that once again, like, her not being instantly available to him whenever he wants is just like making her more attractive to him.
She's accidentally playing hard to get.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Right.
And she also has an idea to help him with his duels. Something from King Gavilar's biography, not autobiography. He wouldn't have written a thing. It would require.
He was writing something with his blood. Oh no, he had to get Seth to do it.
Yeah, he got Seth to do that.
Seth was the ghostwriter.
His ghostwriter. I like it. Seth the ghostwriter.
Oh boy. He writes his entire history in blood on the wall. It's like, man, how did he have time for this?
Use a pen in the sideshow, Bob. She's like, you got to win a duel in a spectacular way. And she'll explain more tomorrow when you take me to dinner. And here comes Relis, who, as you remember, is the champion of the dueling standings and is Ellet's cousin. He's like, you insult me in my house, Colin. Like, what, you didn't like the duel? That wasn't a duel. You embarrassed my cousin by refusing to fight properly. I demand this farce be invalidated. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, don't be like that, bro.
And Adolin's like, hey, if you want your cousin's plate back, fight me for it. 6 shards, Relis. All the shards my family has against your shards. And Relis refuses to fight. He says that you're beneath me. All you know is how to do is tricks. You don't even know how to duel properly anymore. I know you embarrassed my cousin so that you could goad me into a fight. Well, I'm not going to let it happen. And Adolin's like, something spectacular, she said. Well, I mean, if you're afraid, you don't have to duel me alone, Relis. And he's like, wait, are you saying you'd take me on with anyone else at the same time? And Aelin's like, yeah, I'll fight you and whomever you bring together. And Relis goes, you are a fool. But he does agree.
So,
2 days.
So right there, whomever you bring, I don't think that specifically means one person. And then later they're talking about like him and one other person. I could fight 2 people. I don't think he's gonna bring just one.
Yeah, I'll admit I missed this in the reading, but then as soon as you mentioned it in your opening thing, I'm just like flicked to the page, going, oh shit, he never specified a number.
No, he sure did not. I think it's very possible that Relis is going to show up with at least 2 people, maybe even more.
Yeah, he'll have a posse.
He's just gonna bring like a whole crew of like 10 guys to beat up Adolin. That would be bad.
I mean, he said whomever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe in support of that, even like the judge kind of stays around after Relis leaves, and she's like, "You realize what you've done?" And Aelin's like, "Yes, I know the dueling conventions quite well. I'm aware." And she's like, "All right,
if you say so."
Yep. Like Relis even like looked at the judge and it's like, you got that right. You got exactly what he said word for word. And she's like, I did.
He's like, I just want to be clear. You heard that. You're my witness. I can bring whoever I want. And as many people as I want.
Yep.
Who's he going to bring?
And we don't really know about we don't know enough about
he could bring his whole
buddies.
army. It wouldn't matter.
I'm just imagining he rocks up. He's got 5 other guys like who are all his buddies. And then on the end is Wit. And everyone's like, Wit, what the fuck are you doing here? And he's like, you offered me a chance to beat the shit out of you. I was like, that was too good an opportunity to pass up. So like halfway through the fight, Wit goes, all right, this is boring, and he swaps sides and starts helping Adolin.
It'd be even funnier if they're like, Wit, what are you doing here? And Rel's like, yes, what are you doing here? And he's like, I just wanted to be popular.
I saw a bunch of people walking this way, and I thought, hey, let's see what's going on.
An excuse to beat up on Adolin?
Yes, please.
Shallan is like, oh, you really think you can beat 2 at once? And Aelin's like, yeah, maybe. But you want a spectacular, so here we go. Now, I hope you actually do have a plan. And Shallan's like, what do you know of High Prince Yennev? And we don't hear the rest of that now. We'll hear it in a little bit.
It's a mark of how much I've fallen into this world that like she says that and I've gone, that's a good symmetrical name.
Man, what symmetry.
Yeah.
Love that symmetry.
And then we get an image of from Shallan's sketchbook of Shallan walking and then Vale walking. A lady's pace, I think is what it says at the top there.
By Brightness Axeface?
Yes, a lady's pace by Brightness Axeface. A proper born lady walks with her safe hand covered.
That is not a symmetrical name.
It sure is not.
She's
an old axe face over there.
She steps with poise and is deliberate, head up, back straight, feet level with the floor. She does not swing her arms or raise her toes like a common dark eyes at a farm dance.
That's good to know.
She does not slouch. It seems like this little Kremling drawing is being attributed with the words that are here, so I guess that's the one calling her names. I don't know.
Okay. This is interesting.
Or maybe it's supposed to be an axe hound? I don't know.
It's like, why is there a little satanic grasshopper just there?
Right? Yeah. It's so. I don't think we've ever seen something like that in Shallan's sketchbook before. She was feeling just really weird today.
Maybe she should just get a job as a cartoonist.
Yeah, exactly.
Political cartoonist of the Shattering Plains.
Oh, that would be sick.
Yeah, it's like she's drawing cartoons of Sadeas with like a hollow gem heart above his head, and then inside the there's an arrow that points to the gem heart, and it says Alethkar as Sadeas sees it, or something. Something kind of witty, but not that witty. So you're like, oh, I get it, and then you move on.
That's some satire there.
Yeah, some good satire that you're like, oh yeah, that's what it means.
Okay, the next chapter is Vale's lessons. Now you just got me thinking of all the different political cartoons someone could draw on the Shattered Plains.
Yeah.
There's too much. Probably they would be making fun of the king in Dalinar, honestly.
Yeah, that's true.
Not if Shallan was drawing them, I guess. But...
So yeah, Shallan's the opposite number. There'll be a whole bunch of imitators who rise up to oppose her cartoons, and that's how it all gets started.
all these competing cartoonists on the Shattered Plains. It's like a whole new like line of work.
Yeah, there's like a boom in the cartooning industry.
But it's only women read them.
Yeah, only women draw and only women read them. So every day the husbands are like, "Hey, read me today's new cartoon."
And they're like, I guess.
So Sedaeus is just looking at the cartoons, like staring at this picture of him. It's like, what the fuck? They made my nose 4 times bigger than it is. Yali, what are they making me say?
It's a caricature, dear. Don't worry about it. What the hell's a caricature?
I love the idea of someone seeing this cartoon of themselves and be like, "Wife, what are they making me say?"
What are they making me say this time? Damn it! If only reading was more masculine.
Yeah.
Actually, no. You know, if Shalom was doing it, she would 100% use glyph words so the men could read it too, and then none of her competitors would be able to do the same because yeah.
Or you just draw a cartoon that you don't need to like read words to understand what's happening, and that could become a whole new industry of like comic books that men can read without women having to read it to them because there's no words.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's just a picture of Sadius being eaten by a chasm fiend while Adolin flips him the bird.
Man, what a manly form of art.
This appears to be you eating a big pile of shit. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to say.
Okay, this is me. Looks like I look pretty good, but what am I eating? Is that chul dung? God,
it's chul dung. How did they find out?
And then there's one that's just like this one dude, clearly a High Lord, being mauled by a white spine, and Adelin's like, "What the hell is this? Why is this in there?" And Sean's like, "I don't know. Captain of your guard told me to put that in."
Damn him! Not again.
I really want to know if someday like Sadius is gonna go to a meeting or whatever of the High Princes, and then Rock is gonna be in his Bridge 4 uniform out there, and he's like, "Wait, aren't you the guy who fed me chul shit?"
Yeah.
I still like the idea. Like he's just at dinner, and then he's like, "Who made this food?" And Rock's like, somehow this 8-foot monster of a man just like magically just pops up from behind his chairs and goes, "Hello."
Tis I, Rock.
The way Dak said it makes me think like in Soviet
Russia,
Horn-Eater
road
peaks,
forks. Yeah.
chul dung eats you.
Okay.
Okay.
Airsick lowlanders, I tell you.
Vale's lessons. The epigraph here is, there came also 16 of the order of Windrunners, and with them a considerable number of squires. And finding in that place the Skybreakers dividing the innocent from the guilty, there ensued a great debate. So, all right.
16.
It's true.
The cursed number.
But yeah, the Skybreakers hanging out, dividing the innocent from the guilty. Like, okay, you're innocent, you go over here. You're guilty, you go over there.
There's a great debate. Skybreakers, you can't do that. They're all guilty. No, they're not.
What are you talking about?
Depends on what they're guilty of. So Shalon is in a carriage, back in the white coat and the trousers of Vale. Rain on the brim of her hat. She's got that big white hat that she took from Dead Bluff that one time. And the meeting is happening out in the Unclaimed Hills, an hour's ride from the war camps. So these Ghostbloods get around, I guess.
They sure do.
And they found a little kind of valley is probably calling it a little much. They found a little area with a lot of stuff growing in it, and that's where they're kind of camped out. They have a tarp set up to keep the water off of them. And of course, Shalon couldn't take Sabarial's coach that she's been using to get around, so she hired a coach pulled by Parshman. Because they're cheaper than horses, but faster than chulls. And Moraes is hanging out there with the Ghostbloods. He's still using his little blowgun. And he explains this time what it's about. He's like, I like to learn to use local weapons. It's a quirk, though I feel justified. If you want to understand a people, learn their weapons. And they have a discussion about the blowgun. Like, what do you think this says about the Parshendi? This is a weapon that they use. And Shalon's like, well, I mean, clearly it's not for killing big game, which makes sense because the only big game is the chasm fiends. So, and the Parshendi supposedly worship them as gods. Probably they hunted for food rather than sport, and it would not be useful in war. Too short range, and the Parshendi have bows, so maybe is for assassination, but I kind of doubt that because most primitive indigenous populations, they don't have a concept of assassination, which is interesting the way she explains it. But as she herself points out, I mean, the Parshendi started everything that's happening by sending an assassin after the king of Alethkar. So maybe not the most valid conclusion.
And it's just like the Parshendi is like, oh, yeah, we don't have a concept of assassination. Then why did you assassinate our king? We learned it from watching you.
I learned it from you, Dad. And Mraize goes, oh, so Tin chose a scholar as her apprentice. That's unusual.
She's like, ah, crap.
I'm letting people know too much about me.
Whoopsie.
Which she then goes on to do even more egregiously. But Mraize says, so what excuse did Tin give you today for failing? And Shallan's like, excuse? Yeah, for failing in her mission. And Shallan's like, wait, what? Like she's worried that like somehow what she did alerted Amaram's camp, and Amaram knows somebody got in, and that's why they're mad. But Mraize is like, I don't even think she's sick to not even try to carry out the task. And Shallan's like, not even try? What? And he's like, oh, is that the excuse that she tried and failed? I have had people watching that house, and if she had, and Shallan immediately starts pulling out sketches of the Amaram's locked room, and Mraize is just like, huh. It is rare that I'm proven a fool. Congratulations. So, very slick.
Rare that he's proven the fool. He's Hoyd. Because usually he's the fool. And fooling others.
Mraize instantly realizes, like, Tin can't draw like this. You did this. And she's like, yeah, I mean, there's a reason she chose a scholar as her assistant. And Mraize is like she says, my skills are meant to complement her own. And Mraize is kind of like, really? Because she's never picked assistants like that before. Her choice of associates has always been unenlightened.
To be fair, like, the only reason Tin picked up Shallan at all was because, like, Shallan was just fast at talking and convincing bandits not to be shit. So she's like, oh, this is good. No background checks, no vetting. Yeah. Just like, ooh, this is nice. And then I'm going to condescend to her the whole time.
Not only no background checks or vetting, like, when she asked the most basic question and Shallan told her the truth about who she was like, yeah, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
So, just...
The more we learn about Tin, I'm just like, how did she not die sooner? Honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. And he's like, pities there's not more detail to these maps. And she's like, oh, here's 5 more pictures with lots of detail. And he's like, holy crap, this is amazing. How'd you get in? We were watching the windows. And she's just like, you know. And he's really impressed by the sketches, like not just the content, but he goes, these are masterful. A triumph, certainly. Such artistry. And like he's so into these drawings that she's like, is this the same guy who just talks about like murdering people and shoots this blowgun? And apparently, like he hit a little Kremling with it and stunned it because she supposes there was some poison on that or something. And like he's like, come sit down, child. You did this yourself? And she's annoyed that he's calling her child. Like, I tried to make Vale look older than me. What do I need to do? Add some gray hairs? Jeez.
It's another guy who has lived for a few hundred years or something.
Maybe, yeah. Right. We don't know. It's possible. I mean, if Joe's right and he's Hoyd, he's a lot older than that probably.
Well, yeah.
So she tells him, like, hey, I copied some of the text for you. And she chose these lines specifically so that, like, it gives him some information, but not so much that it would, like, she wants to stay ahead of them on this. He's like, you spent so long in there drawing the pictures and so little recording the text. And she's like, oh, no, I did those pictures from memory. And he's just like his jaw lowers and he looks genuinely surprised before he can kind of control his face. And she's like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. Does anyone know that Shallan can draw like that? Have I demonstrated that skill? I guess I'm going to have to keep that to myself. Man, this lying thing is getting tougher and tougher.
It's like she has demonstrated that skill. Her whole job at the moment is doing drawings of shard plate and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that she can like look and memorize and then do a drawing later. Like people might not know that.
Okay, fair.
And so Mraize orders a test. He's like, Jin. And the gold-haired man with a bare chest showing beneath a flowing robe walks over and he says, look at him. And then says, Jin, leave us. You will draw him, Vale. And Jin is annoyed that he's got to go out in the rain. And she does not only a perfect sketch of the guy, but like the background, like a whole study of the area. And Mraize is just like, oh, this is incredible. You're wasted with tin. You can't do this with text. And she's like, no, can't do it with words. Sorry. And he's so impressed. Like, this is marvelous. Yeah, we can use this. I might have a place for you in my organization.
He's like, forget all these asshole losers.
Well, yeah, he's good at spotting talent. What can you say? And she's like, I mean, I wouldn't have agreed to come in Tin's place if I hadn't wanted that opportunity. And then he looks at her and he's like, you killed her, didn't you? And Shalon's like, crap.
Well, I mean, I didn't. She kind of made me, but
Moraes is actually like, he finds this whole thing hilarious. It's like she finally picked an assistant who was too capable, delightful, after all her arrogant posturing. And she's like, I mean, I didn't mean to. She turned on me. And he's like, yeah, that must be a good story. Anyway, just you got to know that what you've done isn't forbidden, but it's not encouraged. We can't have people getting promotions by killing their superiors. That or an organization can't run well like that, unless you're the Klingon Defense Forces, I guess. But Tin was not an official member of the organization, so it's okay for you to murder her. And he says, so who are you really, Vale? And she says, someone who wants to be part of things. He's like, okay, all right. More instructions will follow. Do the task assigned to you, and then we shall see. He also says, so it's a hunt then. She's like, wait, what did he mean by that? And then she notices the other Ghostbloods sitting around, and they all don't look happy. They now realize that she could instantly draw a picture of any of them to help identify them as working in this organization. And that's not something that they want. And Moraes has made it clear that she's not one of the Ghostbloods yet. He basically served her up on a platter, like, if you can take her out, go for it. And fortunately, she figured this out in time. And she has Pattern go and, like, pretend to be her and tell the carriage driver, like, I've gotten in, drive back, don't look.
Once again, Patton just MVP.
Yeah, saving the day. And then she turns herself in, like, she makes an illusion of a rock and hides inside of the rock. And while she's hiding there, she can hear Moraes like, we need to find out how much he knows. Take these pages to Master Thydakar. We're close, but so it appears are Restaries' cronies. So,
is that a name we know?
Yes, Restaries. We've heard that a couple of times. Most recently, I think, when Amaram goes in to talk to Kaladin and he's about to take the shard blade for himself and kill Kaladin's crew. Or actually, maybe it's after he kills Kaladin's crew and he's explaining to Kaladin. He's like, Restaries was right. It's important. I should do this. Okay. So Restaries is the one who encouraged Amaram to take the shard blade when it was available. But before that, all the way back when King Gavilar is murdered by Seth, he's like, tell Thydakar he's too late. And Seth's like, I don't know who that is. And he goes, what? So who ordered you to kill me? Restaries? Sadius? Like, who was it?
Okay.
So the name's come up a couple times.
I remember Thydakar coming up in both those chapters as well, but I did not remember this guy's name.
You know,
no, this Restaries sounds like a real piece of work.
So Amaram seems to be working with him, and they both seem to be opposed to the Ghostbloods and Thydakar. And then someone asks Moraes a question that Shalon can't make it out, and Moraes says, I'm not worried about that one. The old fool sows chaos, but does not reach for the power offered by opportunity. He hides in his insignificant city, listening to its songs, thinking he plays in world events. He is not in the position of a hunter. And then they leave. So,
what about this creature in Tukar? That got my attention.
Yes, this creature in Tukar, however, is different. I'm not convinced he's human. If he is, he's certainly not of the local species. So, Tukar is another country. We haven't heard much about it.
So he's a guy in Tukar. He may be from a different planet.
So I didn't go back and look it up, but correct me if I'm wrong. Tukar, was that the place of one of the interludes? There was the old dude who took in the orphan and then got killed.
Oh,
was that where that took place? I didn't go back and look it up. I probably should have, but I'm just like, is that because then is that the guy who's going around killing people? The guy who killed the old man, is that who they're referring to? I don't know. I know you probably can't answer that, but that's just where my mind went.
Let me see what it said about. So the cobbler's name was Yim, Y-M.
Yim.
He's the guy who made shoes and healed little kids. He was Iriali. And
well, that's where he was from, not necessarily where he was.
I think, hold on, let's see. Because he tells the kid that he's talking to, it's like that we are of the chosen people or whatever. I think he was in Erie.
Okay. Because I know, like, looking at the map, the capital of Tukar is Sesemelex Dar, and I know we've heard that before.
Yes, we have heard that. That is a city that's built into like a bunch of like gouges in the ground. Kaladin saw the city when he flew
Oh
over in his
yeah, when he
dream,
flew over in his dream.
Yep.
Yeah.
and then he asks Sigil like, "Hey, have you ever heard of a city that's like this?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's Sesemelex Dar."
Okay. So we don't actually know anything that happens in there, or at least not that we've confirmed.
And I think it's hard to tell from the map. Sesemelex Dar is kind of right between Tukar and Emul. I'm not sure which one it actually is in. At least not from the map
Okay.
I'm looking at.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we have no then we have no context as to whatever this thing in Tukar is.
Yep, we do not know yet.
Balls. Oh well. Worth a shot.
Okay, so Mraize and Co leave, and Shalon waits in the rain in her fake rock until the light her stormlight runs out, and the rock and presumably her disguise as Veil vanish. I don't remember if we even mentioned specifically that she's got red hair and whatnot again, but I assume that she must if she's run out of stormlight. And so she just has to walk back. It was an hour ride from the war camps. It's going to be a longer walk in the rain. And she's like, I guess I'll practice my accents while I'm walking. She's like, Pattern, I need to train you to like speak along with the illusions that I make. That'll make them more realistic. And he's like, well, you should just make them speak on their own. She's like, wait, I can do that? And Pattern's like, yeah, why not? Well, because I use light to make illusions. That's different from sound. And Pattern's like, this is a surge. Sound is part of it. Very similar. It can be done. And she's like, oh, well, how? Somehow? And she's like, you are so helpful. And he goes, oh, I'm glad. Wait.
Sounds
why?
a lot like Syl. It's like Kaladin asks her a question that is good for knowing how to do things, and she's like,
Yeah, exactly. It's a very frustratingly familiar interaction. And then she sees something that had been on fire and was put out by the rain, presumably. And she realizes it's that coach that she sent back. The coachman and the parshman have been murdered, and the coach burned. And she's like, oh, this is my fault. Like, I knew the danger I was walking into. The coachman did not. Like, I should not have put innocence in this position. But nothing she can do about it now. And she thinks they burned the carriage to make it look like bandits were behind it, but bandits wouldn't come this close to the Shattered Plains. So,
Next chapter, Kaladin is sent to search for the bandits who burned this coach.
It could happen, yeah. But yeah, we end with her just continuing to walk because, I mean, there's nothing she can do now. Chapter 55 is the rules of the game. And the epigraph is, the considerable abilities of the Skybreakers for making such amounted to an almost divine skill, for which no specific surge or spren grants capacity. However, the order came to such an aptitude, the fact of it was real and acknowledged even by their rivals. So this is both from Words of Radiance, chapter 28, page 3. So you have to assume that the previous epigraph and this one are back to back, if not, or close to each other, if not back to back, I should say. So the Skybreakers were dividing the innocent from the guilty, and this says that ability was like they really had this ability. No one could explain why they could do it, but everyone agreed that they could. So the Skybreakers are good at dividing innocent people from guilty people somehow. And Adolin is getting ready for his date, and Kaladin is the one guarding him. And Adolin's like, oh, great. It's you. And we're in Kaladin's perspective, so he's a little annoyed with everything about Adolin. He's like, this guy's boots are worth more than some houses. Ugh.
To be fair, monogrammed buttons seems excessive to me.
A little bit, yeah. And he notes that Adolin is wearing a side sword, which is weird because he's a shard bearer and can summon a giant sword from nothingness whenever he wants, but maybe he wears it ornamentally. And Kaladin's like, I don't trust that girl. Princeling, foreign woman, secret betrothal. The only person who could vouch for her is dead. She could be an assassin. That means putting you under the watch of the best I have, which is me. And Aelin's like, wow, you're humble. Okay. No, it's I guess it's funnier than that because he goes, humble, aren't we? And Kaladin's like, no.
He's like, I'm the best at what I do, bub.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, could you imagine, like, instead of shard blades for whatever, like whatever it is that makes it all work, it's like they can just pop Wolverine claws out of nothingness.
Nice.
Shard claws.
Painful. Also, could you imagine Wolverine having the power of flight?
That is scary.
He wouldn't need fastball special anymore.
Nope, he sure wouldn't.
I mean, he just fastball special himself.
Exactly.
I do remember like someone asking the question to a bunch of us years ago. It's like, oh, what's an animal you are really glad can't fly? Puma instantly just went, bears.
Sure, bears.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Bears flying would be terrifying.
Yep.
I'm gonna go
Eels.
with a snake.
Yeah, snakes. Sure.
And fair, having this planet has sky eels.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not fun.
Drop bears.
Well, if they could fly, they wouldn't need to drop. Or maybe they just fly up higher to drop on you.
They'd be called fly bears.
I'm really glad, things like kangaroo and deers don't have wings, because I know, like, when you get those in your car, they really fuck your car up. Imagine if they were flying and dive bombing you.
That would be bad. But maybe if they could fly, they would get out of the freaking way instead of letting you hit them with your car.
Maybe.
Nah, man, kangaroos deliberately jump in front of your cars. Fuckers are suicidal.
Man, another reason we don't live in Australia.
I mean, we have deer who do the same thing, so what are you gonna do?
I guess that's true.
They have a fun interaction where Adolin makes fun of him for having no sense of humor, and Callan's like, "Yeah, I traded in my sense of humor long ago. What'd you get for it? Scars." Like,
Oh, so emo.
yeah,
I was gonna say, it's like,
Kaladin.
like I don't remember Kaladin getting quite this edgelordy.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
You want to know how I got these scars?
Not really. No.
I'm forming a new order of Knights Radiant.
Yeah.
Call them the Edgelords.
Yeah. My father was a doctor.
That does sound like an Order of Knights, doesn't it?
The Edgelords. God.
We've seen the Edge. I think we've heard of Edge Dancers. So
Isn't that a book?
it is also a novella. Yes. Aelin's just like, "Oh, great! I'm so happy you're coming along. Come on."
Yeah, with Adolin on this one.
And they get out to the carriage, and Kaladin sees the person driving the carriage, and he's like, "You!" And Wit's like, "Me!"
Here I am.
Once again, he's a chauffeur.
Yeah, exactly.
Guy knows how to drive, I guess.
Yep.
And Wit's like, "Have you been practicing with my flute?" And Kaladin's like, "Don't tell me you left it in Sadius's camp when you moved out." And he's like, "Well,
I sure did. I
told you not to tell me that."
To be fair, he didn't. He just implied it. Wit,
It's
you of
true,
all
he
people
didn't.
should be on board with that.
Yeah. If you knew the history of that flute, it would make your brain flip upside down. And by that I mean I'd have to shove you off the carriage for having spied on me. And Kaladin's just like, "Well, I'm a soldier, not a musician. Music's for women." And Wit's perspective is all people are musicians. The question is whether or not they share their songs. Also, doesn't it strike you as funny that the person who wrote the book that decides what's feminine and what's masculine gave all the feminine tasks are like ones that let them sit around and have fun, and all the masculine ones involve poking someone with a spear?
That is pretty funny.
Yeah. And Callan's like, "I mean, I guess." And Wit's like, "Come on, I'm putting a lot of effort in. You gotta give me more than that. Like, seriously." And Callan's like, I'm sorry. Okay, did you keep your job as the King's Wit? You said you were gonna lose it before. And Wit's like, "Yeah, I don't know. I haven't checked." "Wait, you haven't? The King doesn't know you're back?" "Nope." Trying to think of a properly dramatic way to inform him. Maybe 100 chasm fiends marching in unison, singing an ode to my magnificence. And Count's like, "Well, that sounds hard." "Yeah, the storming things have trouble tuning their tonic chords and maintaining just intonation."
I'm
And
trying
really-
to think of like the best way Wit could announce to Ellicott that he's back, because at the moment all I have is like the end of Deadpool and Wolverine, which I won't spoil, but that bit.
Okay, yeah, I'm on board with it. Well, a lot of Wolverine in this episode. Kaladin and Wit have a back and forth that's kind of fun, basically. I'm not going to go into every detail of it, but Wit just keeps making fun of him, and Kaladin's like, And then,
Well, there's a couple of details in there that might be pertinent, given the fact that Wit is hinting very strongly like he knows what Kaladin does.
yes, I was actually looking for exactly that. I was trying to figure out, because he does hint that he knows something about what Kaladin can do.
He's like, "Oh, I'll go easy on you with the mocking. I don't want you to go flying off the handle."
Yeah, he's like, "I don't want you to go flying off on me." And Kaladin's like, "Wait, what?" Flying off in an angry tirade. And Kaladin's like, He'd previously hinted, like, when he first met Kaladin, he's like, stay away from me. I'm attached to my stormlight. I was like, "Wait, what?" "Yeah, I don't want you, everyone knows bridgemen are thieves." And so he hints yet again here.
I wonder if there's a thing like, I can't remember which metal did it, but on Scadrial, like they burn a metal and they can see all the available points of metal, and they could see like
I believe
other people.
that is bronze.
Oh, was that it? like with the blue lines and everything? It was why the
Oh no, the blue lines were steel and iron. The blue lines reach to metal sources.
Yeah.
The bronze lets you sense when someone else is using allomancy.
That's right. Yeah. And then, because then the Inquisitors couldn't read anything that was on metal. I'm just wondering if Wit has something similar for seeing Stormlight and people who can use Stormlight.
Maybe. Or maybe he has bronze and he's using that. And
That
it somehow lets him sense that also.
I mean, we know he's he's got the Mistborn powers because he ate the thingy back on.
We're pretty certain of that. Yeah,
Lerasium.
That's the one.
And so eventually they get to pick up Shallan, and Adolin hops out of the carriage and he goes, "You!" And Wit's like, "Me? What'd you do to my usual carriage driver?" "Nothing. I'm sure he's gotten the ropes undone by now." "Oh, and here's your lovely, almost but not quite bride." And Shallan comes out, and she goes, "You!" And he's like, yes. People are certainly good at identifying me today. And she hugs him, and everyone's like, "What the?" Like, she moves so quickly, Kaladin starts to reach for his knife, like, oh, she's attacking. But no, she's just gone to hug Wit, who...
She's attacking him! Wait, why am I defending him?
Yeah, right. Wit looks completely flabbergasted, and is like, he doesn't know what to do with this being hugged thing. And she's like, "I always wanted to say thank you, and I never had the chance." And Aelin's just like, you're hugging Wit? It's like, is that his name? You hugged Wit. Like, yeah, was that improper? It's not about propriety, it's about common sense. It's like hugging a white spine or a pile of nails or something. You're not supposed to like Wit.
He's a freak.
And she's like, you and I need to talk, Mr. Wit. I don't remember everything that you said, but he's like, yeah, I'll try to squeeze it into my schedule. I'm really busy. Insulting Adolin alone is going to take until sometime next week. And Adolin's like, hands off. Stick to women your own age. He's like, well, that's a little hard. I think there's only one of those around here, and she and I never did get along. So what does that mean?
Is that autonomy?
Is autonomy around here? That would be bad.
I don't know.
That would be bad.
We get the feeling autonomy, she goes to other planets, puts seeds down for something, and then comes back later on to see what's happened. Yeah, she could have done that here.
It could be.
I don't know. We don't know that many female shards.
We don't know. Yeah, you're right. I don't know that we've run into more than one of those that we know of for sure. I mean, Devotion and Dominion died. Maybe one of them or both of them were female. Who knows?
Was it? Who was it? Cultivation was on Nalthus. I think that was.
No. Cultivation is here.
Oh yeah, Cultivation's here. Endowment.
Endowment was Nalthus. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. God, keeping these straight. I need a fucking spreadsheet.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
This one on this planet, alive, dead, gender.
And Kaladin's gonna go ride inside the carriage this time to protect Adolin from Shallan in case she pulls something. And Wit's like, wait, you're gonna ride in there? And he's like, yeah. Try not to flirt with the girl. Adolin seems to be growing possessive. Or what am I saying? Flirt with the girl. It might make the prince's eyes bulge. And neither Adolin nor Shallan is happy that Kaladin's gonna be riding inside the carriage with them, but he doesn't really give them a choice about it. So instead, he gets to watch them be flirty with each other, and Shallan flatter him, and he gets very annoyed about the whole thing.
Hey, you sat in there, man.
Exactly, right? And Shallan hears that there's a menagerie in the outer market, and Adolin's like, a menagerie? Isn't that a little low? She's like, come on, we can look at the animals, you can tell me which ones you've bravely slaughtered. It'll be fun. And he's like, actually, I don't really like hunting, but yeah, I mean, let's take a look. And even Kaladin is forced to recognize and admit that Adolin's an honest guy. He's always straight with Kaladin. He goes, he's dismissive and spoiled, but straight. You can probably trust him to stick to his word here. It's just, I don't like him. Shallan, on the other hand, he feels like everything she does is calculated. The way she laughs, the way she moves, it's all playing towards something. And then he thinks, you're just in an irritable mood. It happens more often when the sky is cloudy. But did they have to act so nauseatingly cheery? And this is when she's like, oh, hey, I brought that thing that I was talking about. And then she looks at Kaladin can we talk in front of him? And Aelin's like, you could trust him. He saved my life twice, and Father lets him guard us even at the most important meetings. I love that Aelin's completely, he's like, yeah, he saved my life twice. I still don't like him. I still mess with him all the time. But
I think this sums up one of the reasons I've really come around to liking Aelin. It's I can admit I don't like the person, but I can trust him, and I will tell people that. Like,
Yeah.
all right, props to you.
Yeah. Well, and with how grumpy Kaladin is around Light Eyes in general, it's kind of hard to blame Adolin for not liking him, quite honestly.
100%.
And so we get to hear an account from Brightness Iali of her husband Sadeas taking down High Prince Yennev during back in the years when Gavilar and them were fighting to unite Alethkar. There was a tournament. Sadeas won a really impressive battle where they kept upping the stakes in the middle of it, making bigger and bigger bets until he won in such an impressive way that the king was like, I'm so impressed that I will offer you a boon for having pleased the king. And Sadeas says, I will have no boon other than Yenev's cowardly heart on the end of my sword, your majesty. And Aelin's like, whoa, really? Blowhard Sadeas said that? And she's like, yeah, there's several people who recorded his words. So Sadeas killed Yennev in a duel and made an opening for an ally of theirs, Aladar, to take over that princedom. Who Aladar is one of the two high princes who seems to be backing Sadeas here. So kind of makes sense now. And so the idea is, if Adolin can make a real impressive spectacle of his fight, then he can ask the king for a boon and use that same method to challenge Sadeas to a fight and get a chance to take him out. And Kaladin's like, no way that would work. It can't, right? I mean, it's like, even if you win, it's all just a game. Sadeas doesn't have to say yes to that. There's no way. And Adolin kind of argues that this is different than what you're thinking. It's all about perception. Sadeas has formed this coalition that implies he's stronger than the king. If he loses to the king's champion, then it changes that perception. And Cal's like, but it's all still just a game, right? And Adolin's like, I mean, yeah, but it's a game that Sadeas is playing and that he's accepted the rules of. So, and Kaladin's here like, wait, this tradition, that could be the solution I've been looking for.
Bum, bum, bum.
So I need to impress the king.
Hmm?
I definitely need to stop Moash killing him.
Yeah.
That'll impressive, yep.
I also think the king's already been impressed by him.
Yeah.
He does seem to like Kaladin.
Yeah, like Ellikar's always like, this guy is awesome.
Yeah, he takes security seriously. Where's this guy been?
Oh my god. If Kaladin went to Ellikar and said, sir, I have discovered proof of an assassination attempt, he would be Ellikar's favorite person.
Probably, right? Yeah.
Indication.
Yeah, he'd be like, I've found out an assassin. It's Amaram. Get him.
He's the one. Get him. Yeah,
Get him.
That'd be hilarious. Just plant some evidence over there. So Shallan's like, here, give these details to your aunt. She and your dad will know better if we can make this work. And Kaladin comes to the conclusion finally that no, she's not in immediate danger to Adolin. She might be some kind of con woman, but she's not after his life, just his dignity. Which, I mean, too late for that anyway. And they finally reach the outer market, and they get out, and he's like, thanks for the ride, Wit. Sorry about the flute. But Wit's not there. It's some other guy. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. He paid me well, he did. And Adolin is just, like, completely not phased at all by this. He's like, oh, yeah, Wit does this kind of thing. He likes to vanish mysteriously. And the guy's like, oh, it weren't so mysterious, sir. It was just back there a ways. Ran off giggling like a child, he did.
Have you encountered anyone with an Irish accent yet?
I love the idea of him jumping off and being like, and running away.
Because like my original thought is like when he looks up and he's like, well, Wit's gone, and Adolin gets out and is like, oh yeah, he does that. I went to the Dark Knight where that pretty much happens with Harvey Dent and Commissioner Gordon. Like Gordon's like, oh yeah, he does that. And then it says, oh yeah, he ran away giggling. So I'm picturing Batman running away from Harvey Dent giggling.
He's like, how are you?
Tiptoeing around the corner like, tee. That's great.
Got him again.
Freaking got him.
Oh, it's best.
I think it gets better because I think in that scene, Gordon was watching Batman the whole time. So it's like Gordon was 100% in on that one.
They were working together to mess with Dent. That'd be hilarious.
It's like, we're going to get him. It's going to be good.
You know that thing I always do to you? Yeah. But wouldn't it be funny if I did it to Dent? Fuck yes.
Finally, somebody else. So we go into the menagerie, and Kaladin's grumpy, and Syl's like, hey, what's wrong? He's like, I'm just tired of listening to those two. He's like, what? They're happy together. What's wrong with that? He's like, nothing, as long as I don't have to listen to it. And she's like, blasted Spren, arguing with her is like, well, arguing with the wind, I guess. And they see some various animals, and Shallan, being Shallan, has to sketch some of them because that's the thing that she does. And she's annoyed that the labels are typical, like, they're not scientific labels. This one says Devil Rock, captured in Marabethia. The locals claim it is the reborn vengeful spirit of a child who was murdered. And she's like, what kind of scholarship is that? And he's like, it's a menagerie, Shalon. It's like entertainment. It's not scholarship.
It's just like a blob of flesh.
Yeah, like it's just some weird blobby creature.
Like, what kind of vengeance is that going to get on anyone?
Fair.
It's clearly a crabapus.
A crabapus.
Crap. What's he going to do? Ooze at me?
And there's some sky eels who don't look super happy because they're in a cage. They can't fly around too much. Then there's some sort of, like, I think it looks like a chull, but with larger claws. And Shalon's like, oh, poor little thing. What kind of life is this? And Callan's like, I don't know, but a safe one where it doesn't have to worry about predators and it gets fed? What? I doubt a chull thing could ask for more than that. He's like, oh, and you'd be happy with that? And he's like, well, no, but I'm not a chull thing. I'm a soldier. It's a great conversation. And then Syl and Kaladin chat a little more about, what's going on. And there's a moment where she's like, you're almost ready, aren't you? And he's like, yeah, I think I am. Ready for what? Who knows? But
yeah, what a sucky conversation that was. It's just like, ready for what? For dinner?
Then I hope he's ready for dinner. Yeah, we see a white spine. Yeah, we've heard about white spines before, and they're frequently referred to as like very dangerous. We saw the results of some guys trying to hunt a white spine. A certain young Light Eyes died right in front of Kaladin.
Yep, dickhead, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
so now to make a cartoon of it.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Now we actually get to a description of one. Square face with sharp mandibles like teeth, only more vicious, and some tusks that point down from the upper jaw. It's got spikes on its head and back, and powerful legs. And Shalon's like, ooh, it's a white spine. And Cal's like, oh, I expected them to be, I don't know, more. And she says, though they don't do well in captivity. This one probably would have gone dormant into crystal long ago, but they must keep dousing it with water. So that's an interesting fact about them.
You guys remember the Predators movie with Adrian Brody and Topher Grace?
I never saw it. I remember that it was a movie, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know Topher Grace was in it. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's like early on in the movie, the Predators have like some hunting hounds or something that they're unleashing on the people. The description sort of reminded me of that.
Predator hunting hounds. Let me look these bad boys up here. Man, Topher Grace in Predator sounds like Topher Grace in Spider-Man 3. Like, what the hell is he doing there?
Well, that's the question like all the characters ask, because he's very much, doesn't fit the mold of hardened killers that the rest of them are. And they're all just like, why is he here?
Ooh, those are creepy looking.
I can see why that description reminds you of these things, yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Grace.
He's the Xenopedia calls them hellhounds.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, heckhounds.
Classic.
So after this, like, Adelin's like, yeah, don't feel sorry for the thing. I've seen what they can do to a man. And Callan's like, yeah. And just after that, all of a sudden, there's a commotion, and Dalinar is showing up. And somebody's like, oh, hi, Prince, you don't have to pay. Just having you here is so great. And your distinguished guest. And along with Dalinar comes Amaram, and he's wearing some bright yellow gold cloak with a black glyph on it. And Cal's like, what is that, oath? What is that even? Oh. And the guy in charge of the menagerie is like, are the rumors true? And Dalinar's like, yeah, I mean, we're going to announce it tonight, but Amaram insisted on wearing the cloak, so I guess I'll let you know. Under the king's direction, I have commanded the refounding of the Knights Radiant. The ancient oaths are spoken again, and Bright Lord Amaram was at my request the first to speak them. The Knights Radiant have been reestablished, and he stands at their head. And that's the end of our chapter.
Boo.
Boo indeed.
Why? This is just like one of those. Yeah, exactly. That marijuana. But why?
But why?
What a delivery. I mean, I know Ryan Reynolds is only there to be ridiculous in general, but what a delivery.
Yep.
So predicaments. We got 3 more chapters that we're going to read for next time to get to the end of this section. And they are named. 56 is called White Spine Uncaged.
Oh, fuck.
Okay,
yes.
So the white spine gets out of the cage. I'm just going to go ahead and you did that. Kaladin, it's a metaphor for Kaladin is the white spine.
It's like Kaladin opens the door and just like, get him, Sheba, and it just jumps at him.
It's like this 3rd chapter of Harry Potter. Wait, no, the 2nd chapter of Harry Potter 1, where he just like goes to the zoo and he's like talking to the white spine. And his white spine's like, I've never been to where I'm from, and he's like, okay, you can come out.
I've never been to Brazil. the White Spine says.
He's like, "Are you from Brazil? Where's Brazil?" He's like, "Fuck, I don't know."
No, I like Kaladin's like, what do I know that can kill a Light Eyes?
White Spine.
A White Spine.
Yeah, that killed that douchebag and his son, or at least his son.
Yeah, if that guy had a shard blade, probably he would have done better. But
yeah.
Anyway, White Spine Uncaged is chapter 56. Chapter 57 is To Kill the Wind, and chapter 58 is Never Again.
Well, I've already said White Spine Uncaged. To Kill the Wind, I don't know. To kill the wind inside of Kaladin. Maybe it's a Seth chapter. That'd be sweet. And you're trying to kill him because he can ride on the wind or whatever. And then what was the last one again? Sorry.
Never Again.
Never again. Never trust a Light Eyes again. Man, if these are all Kaladin centric and it's just like going downhill and downhill and downhill, I could see that. I could see that. Yeah. So those are my chapter guesses. Why not? I will say, looking forward to this last part. Gonna see hopefully something exciting and dramatic happens. Maybe Amaram dies. That'd be great. Because he sucks. Other than that, I would say, yeah, I totally am sticking by the theory that Roulette or whatever his name is gonna bring more than one other guy. Probably gonna bring a crew, right? And then we're gonna be in a little bit of a sticky wicket. Other than that, I mean, I don't really know. I'm just looking forward to the end of the part. So like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I hope it's exciting. More immediately with Amaram and Khaled, I mean, like it's got to come to a head at some point. I mean, come on.
Right.
He's now been put in charge of the new Knights Radiant. Like, does he even have a surge? Like, can he even surge bind? Like, I mean, obviously Dalinar doesn't know about that stuff, so I guess that wouldn't be a factor in him making his decision. Yeah. But like, what is Amaram's deal? What is Amaram's deal? That's really what I want to know. Because, like, in the first book, he was an asshole dickhead, and you're like, oh, man, this guy's really no good. Look at this stuff he did. And in the beginning of the second book, that's kind of how we felt about him as well. It's like, just asshole dickhead. But now, like, there's this whole other subplot that we don't know what's going on behind the scenes that he's involved with.
Yep.
That's like, what is he up to? What is his goal? And, like, who is he working for or with? So, very confusing.
I like your theory about the duel, and that based on the wording, multiple people are going to show up. This just goes to show, like, once again, the difference between how I read the book and how we're reading it, because just reading straight through it, I never would have questioned the wording. When Adolin and Shallan assumed that this agreement, it means that he'll fight two guys exactly, I would be like, well, they know what they're talking about, and I would just move forward. When we stop and think about these things, you start spotting things that you can come up with these theories for. And maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but it's just the kind of theory I never would have come up with reading the book. So I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, it just, like, it was such an ambiguous statement that I was like, I just don't know. Like, he left too much, especially when it's a duel and, like, there are specific, like, guidelines that they're putting on the line. It's like an agreement in front of an obligator on schedule. It's like,
yeah,
they are saying this the way they're saying it, and it's going to be taken that way.
I mean, it's very vague. He could show up with a chasm fiend to help him based on the wording. Like,
yeah, well, whomever. I don't know if the chasm fiend is a whom.
Okay, fair. All right.
This chasm fiend has been granted legal rights under Alethi law
for the purposes of this duel only.
And this is my loyal landowner, Mushmouth.
So I will be interested to see if your prediction is correct, because
if I'm wrong, it'd be kind of a letdown. I'd be like, really?
Unless he shows up with like one guy who's just super impressive. Like,
even then I'd be like, dude, you had an opportunity. He left it so vague. You could have done whatever, and you just chose one other guy. How boring.
If he brings a woman,
I mean, still
how
be
awkward
boring.
would that be?
Also, why?
But why?
Yeah,
fair. Okay. If he's gonna bring more than one guy, how many guys? Over under.
I'm gonna say at least 3 people in the duel total against Adolin. No more than 5.
Okay, 3 to 5. Okay, fair enough. Now, here's the real prediction to make. If he shows up with 3 to 5 other guys, does Adolin win the duel?
I still think he does.
Oh, okay. That's a lot of confidence in Adolin. All right.
Yeah, I've got confidence in him. I just think he's going to get the shit kicked out of him as well. Like, he's going to be like, I mean, yeah, I beat him, but, like, what a cost.
Maybe it's a good thing for Adolin to get the shit kicked out of him now and then, just to, take him down a peg.
Is that like a thing? Is that what we... We want our heroes to get the shit kicked out of
I
them?
don't know. He's pretty full of himself when it comes to the dueling. Maybe he needs a little reality check.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what Relic's thinking.
Yeah, probably. Good point.
I'm on board with all this. I want to see like just this posse of dudes walking into the ring with Aelin. Aelin's like, I might have miscalculated here, but I do want to see like, yeah, he pulls off just an amazing victory against them, but not without getting the shit kicked out of him as well. Because I think when you're up against that many guys, it's gonna happen. You can pull a win out, but it doesn't mean it's gonna come flawlessly.
Okay.
As for the rest, part of me wants to say I really hope to see Kaladin and Amaram stuff come to a head now with this revelation that Amaram is head of the Knights Radiant. Maybe this gets Syl on board because it's like this guy, he's a false Knight Radiant. This is wrong. This is bad. And Kaladin's like, can I kill him? And Syl's like, fine. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, like the thing holding me back from saying Amaram's about to die is the fact that Shallan's plot still ties in so close with him. I think we need to find out more about what he's doing. Although I guess it would be on brand for Shallan to someone Shallan is investigating to die before she finds out what they were talking about. So
Yeah.
I don't really know where it's gonna go. I feel like someone's about to die, but I don't know who.
Somebody gonna die.
Somebody gonna die. But yeah, like White Spine uncaged, yeah, that's got to be symbolic of something. But to kill the wind, it's Kaladin. Yeah, I feel like to kill the wind and never again are both going to be Kaladin chapters because those are on brand for him. Because like Kaladin's had the never again thing for a while, hasn't he?
You may be right. I don't remember specifically, but I could see that.
Yeah, I feel like he's brought that up a few times. It's like we've been treated like shit, never again, and that's just how he pulls himself back up. But yeah, not a lot to predict this time.
Okay, fair enough. We've got sorry, we are coming up on the end of this part, so as Joe said, hopefully it'll be something exciting. I mean, we set it for this duel, so maybe it'll just be the duel and him versus potentially 5 guys. If Joe is right, then maybe that's enough drama for the end of any chat or section, I would think. Regardless of whether he wins or loses, but I guess we'll see. Okay, so let's do a couple emails, y'all. We still got a bunch of those waiting on us, and we got a couple new patrons this week also, so we can do those things. Let me bring up my list of people. We have 3 new patrons this week, and we'll get to those. Let's do the emails first. The first one is from Adam, and it is called... Oh, wait. Nope, never mind. I'd forgotten that this one starts with, has spoilers for the end of part 3, so wait till you get there to read this. So this is the one that I said it's called In Defense of Moash, so we'll have to save that one for next time. So maybe Moash does something really great in the next set of chapters, and that's where the defense is coming in.
Dubious. Did you just say Moash and great in the same sentence?
We'll see. The next one is from Catherine. It says, so glad I found your podcast. Hi, all. So last month I was trying to figure out how I wanted to prep for the release of the next Stormlight book. And while my initial plan was to do a reread of all the Cosmere books, I waited too long and was not going to get through all the books in time. Between your podcast and the Full Spoilers Cosmere Conversations podcast, I've gotten fully refreshed on all the previous books and am now starting the Way of Kings with you. Now I will be reading along with your podcast until I get caught up. Also, huge thanks for introducing me to Miracle of Sound, as I've really enjoyed going through their albums. From Catherine. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Hope that you're having fun with your reread, and I'm glad that you like Miracle of Sound, because I do too.
Yeah, Miracle of Sound's pretty sweet.
He's doing a European tour next year, apparently. Somebody in the Discord was telling me they got tickets.
Oh, that's cool. He's
nice.
That's where he lives, right? He's in.
Yeah, I think he's Irish, so easy for him to tour over there. If he ever comes to the U.S., try to get tickets probably.
Yeah.
Got tickets for Weird Al. And actually, I think in April we got tickets for Brooks and Dunn in Lubbock, so we're going to do that.
Oh, they're touring again? I thought they were still doing their thing in Vegas. I guess that ended.
I don't know. Yeah, I just saw that they had a new tour, and I was like, hey. Okay. The next email is from Isla. A friend's reaction to a couple of deaths in Stormlight is the title. Hi, Sanderlanche crew. After hearing Ryan's email, I wanted to share my friend's reaction to Yasna's death. She was incredibly devastated for Shallan losing a female mentor. Later, when Tin died, she was even more upset for Shallan, who had lost yet another female mentor, even though Tin did, of course, turn out to be bad. But she wanted Shallan to have a trustworthy and alive female mentor, and again, hopes were dashed.
That's
it's
fair.
It's signed Isla, who occasionally contributes to the Discord. So
Nice.
it's true that Shalon keeps losing mentor figures.
That's why Navani's keeping her arms length. She's like, nope. I know how this shit goes down.
I do not want to be the next female mentor.
Yep. Smart.
Look, I think there's one common denominator here, and it's you.
Yeah, no, the more I think about it, the more sense that makes. Like, Navani's like, nah, I'm on to you. I'm not gonna be next in line for that ride. And I mean, apparently Shalon's like mother and father are also both dead, so just
Yeah, all of the people older and wiser than, well, maybe not wiser, but all the people in those positions of authority over her have died. That is, suspicious.
yeah.
And Hellerin too.
Yeah, well, she
And
didn't know about
Helleron,
that till recently, but
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
well, yeah, she knew, like, she had heard he was dead. She just hadn't believed it until finally confronted with proof.
To be fair, everybody dies, so
Well, yeah.
Everybody dies. Actually, when we're talking about that, it just occurred to me that her dad had a wife.
Yeah.
Oh, the stepmother.
Yeah, the stepmother. We haven't heard anything about her as
I kind of
Shalon
got the
tries to protect her
impression
family.
that she either got killed, run off, or left.
I mean, after what we've seen happen in that family, it wouldn't surprise me if she ran off.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep, got the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah,
And
I would.
honestly, good on her if she did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. All right, we can do one more email. This one is from Alyssa, and it says, My Volcano Theory, Calad's Phantoms. Hi, Sanderlanche crew. I've been listening through the podcast as I've read through the Cosmere. Thanks for providing me with a convenient reading order. I just finished with The Way of Kings last week in episode 195. My theory is that Calad's Phantoms, which you guys may remember from Warbreaker, they were the statues that secretly had bones inside that made a super secret army and presumably saved the day at the end, though we never learned explicitly what if they were successful. My theory is that Calad's Phantoms are somehow named after Kaladin, meaning either Vasher did some world hopping or Kaladin will do some world hopping after the Way of Kings. Or I suppose it could be that his fame/story spread to Nalthis and Vasher took the name from that. Either way, the names are just too similar to be a coincidence.
Doesn't Warbreaker happen before, though?
I think I have spoiled that for you, that yes, Warbreaker takes place before the Stormlight Archives.
In the timeline. I didn't know that was a spoiler for you to tell us that. I think we've talked about timelines in general quite a few times.
Yes, we've talked about the timeline. A lot of them stuff is not specifically stated in here, but I've given you guys the timeline that like the fans put together or whatever.
Yeah, you gave us a lot of extra info on Warbreaker.
That's true too. But yeah, according to the fan timeline that I've been using, which I don't know is 100% accurate, Warbreaker took place in 10/8/26, and Bridge 4 rescues Dalinar's army is 10/9/56, which would place this about 70 years after. No. I'm mathing that. 130 years after Warbreaker.
Yeah. So I hate to crap on your theory, but I don't know that is possible.
Unless time travel.
Right. Unless time travel, which, if you're not on the Patreon, there's a show that might just be about time travel that had its first episode on the Patreon.
That's true. Yeah. Check it out if you're interested in that sort of thing. Speaking of which, if you'd like to send us an email like these folks did, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram and Twitter and Patreon, where I've been posting most recently my reactions reading the Wind and Truth preview chapters. So in addition to a certain audio play show that Dak and Joe did, I almost said Jack and Doe, Dak and Joe did for the Patreon, you can find me rambling about stuff that I'm reading for the first time. So if you're interested in that, check out our Patreon, as our new patrons this week have done. We have, let's see, our first one is at the misting level, Hemna. Hamna, Hemna, I think is how I would say that.
Hemna, you're a fire soul.
Ooh. Our second one is at the ska level, Andreas.
Andreas, you are a steel runner.
Good one. It's one of my favorites. It was used very effectively in the second book of Era 2. So, and the third one, also at the misting level, is Baha.
Hold on one second. I pulled those out of my brain, so I need to go back to my list again. Baha, you are a brute. You store that pewter.
Yeah. So thank you guys.
Get all rocked out.
That makes it sound like a drug.
Dude, I mean, it's basically steroids.
Not really. You're using your own body's energy.
Right.
You're just using it at a different time. That's not.
You're correct. I was making a joke. It was not a good joke.
But yeah, thank you guys for joining our Patreon. If anyone else wants to check it out, find us on Patreon at the Sanderlanche Podcast. Just search for that on Patreon. It'll pop up. It's all good.
On that note, if you subscribe to Patreon from Apple, like you use your Apple wallet, you use your Apple, like you subscribe through your iPhone, through the app, the Patreon app, Apple is going to start taking a larger percentage and start charging more for that subscription if you subscribe that way.
I didn't know that.
Fuck.
So my suggestion to you guys to save yourselves some money is to subscribe from a desktop Patreon account. So go on your desktop or even go in your web browser in your phone and make sure that you're not subscribing with an Apple subscription, because the price is going to go up. We're not increasing our price, but Apple is increasing the percentage that they take off of that subscription. So it increases the price.
Apple, that's why Amazon won't let you buy digital content through the app.
That's right. You got to buy it from the website.
Yeah. They're like, we're not giving Apple that percentage.
A lot of shops, like online shops, I've noticed you can't buy stuff on their app with Apple Pay anymore either, because for that reason. Like I've had issues buying things where it said the purchase went through and then I immediately got a refund and it said we don't and then it said when I called like the customer service, they're like, yeah, we don't accept Apple Pay anymore, even though we can't take it off the app because the app has to have it. We don't take it.
Interesting.
And that's the reason, is because Apple's taking a percentage of their profit. And so they've decided, well, we're just going to not accept it anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. And that's not just us. So any Patreon thing that you may be subscribed to on Apple, I would expect the cost of that thing to go up. So that's just for everybody's knowledge. Be aware that you may be seeing an increased price on any Patreon subscription that you have. And I believe Apple sent an email out about, or maybe Patreon sent an email out about this to anybody who is a subscriber on Patreon. So you may have already received an email about it and know about what's going on. But my understanding is if you cancel your subscription on the application and you go to a desktop Patreon website and do the subscription that way with a credit card, that it will bypass that. So
Good to know. I don't subscribe to my Patreon that way, so not affected by that, but good to know. So yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you patrons. Thank you emailers. Thank you everyone out there who's just listening to the show every week. We appreciate you all. You are awesome. Remember, we're doing 3 more chapters for next week, 56, 57, and 58, which will bring us to the end of part 3 of this book. Part 3 is called Deadly. So I don't know how deadly it's been so far. Maybe they're saving it all up for the end. We'll see. But that will lead us into the interludes for the time after next, but we're not there yet. So 3 chapters for next time if you're reading along. Music by Miracle of Sound. And Wasing to the time of next. Colo, he is fashion. Crabs ahoy.
Amnesia, you forgot your name. Don't let your spirit fade away. Amnesia, you've been through such pain. You're growing stronger every day. Amnesia.